An unknown gear makes its way to your shop. Here's how you can figure out how to decode its pitch or module so you can make one. All the tools and tech are right here, right now. Here's the answer right up front. These two equations are all you really need. The pitch is 2 plus the tooth count over the outside diameter. Use your measurements in inches. Or if it's a module gear, it's the OD over 2 plus the tooth count, but measure in millimeters. All the tech is right there. All right. Now the reason this works is because gears usually have a reference OD that machinists follow very carefully along with their ID and along with the tooth count. And that equation relates them all together. It is universal to all gears. That equation will always work. So let's go through some examples and see how it works. First, some tools. I always have to mark everything and count it carefully with a Sharpie. You'd be surprised when your gear count gets over about 16 how easy it is to miss one or add one either way. And if you make a mistake, isopropyl alcohol is universal eraser for Sharpie. Now, get your measurement tools, check them with a calibration. You know, you probably have things like this in your shop. These are very standard tools. This is a 1-inch round pin, and I'm just checking my dial indicator here, and you know, it's on the money. It's really good. All right, we're going to use this set of calipers to look at an outside diameter and some other measurements, so let's just check it out. Here's a 1/2-inch pin, and it looks really good. Now, if you have these templates, that would be the normal way I would do it in my shop when it comes in. I'd also do some of these other checks, but these are template gears that you can purchase, but you don't have to because all the tricks are in what we're showing you right here. So this is what I call the dot dash method for counting gear teeth. There's number 1. It looks like a big, huge number 1. And I start with 1 and count all the way up to 10. And then I draw another long straight line radiating to the center. And then I keep going. I count another 10. So that first section only has 9 teeth in it, okay? It starts at 1 instead of 0. But the rest of these are a decade or a full 10. So their sectors will all match. So I just use this dot dash method. And it's really easy to see if your sectors all match. And it's pretty easy to keep track of 10s. So you really only have to really pay attention super carefully when you get to the end. And then I label them 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. It's a 60 tooth gear. Piece of cake. All right. So next, let's figure out how to measure the OD. It's an even tooth gear. And let's just get our calipers and come in here and we've marked the teeth that are opposing. And let's measure that outside diameter. And let's write it all down. So we'll get these measurements, and there you go, focus. That's like 3.667, something like that. I'll write this down for us. 3.665. So tooth count 60, 3.665. Pitch is 62 over 3.665. And you're saying, show me your stuff, Andrew. And you know what? When I divide those out, let's see what happens. Let's start over. Hold your breath. 16.9. You know, that doesn't look right. But we haven't checked the module case. So that one looks wrong. And I'm going to show you how to determine if that's wrong or right by giving you the table of the standard pitches and modules that are used in machine gears that we're talking about here. So let's just do those calculations again, but for module. Let's convert everything to metric and see what it looks like. So what I did is I just did that quick calculation on the OD to turn it into millimeters. And I divide it out, I get 1.501. And you know what? That's a 1.5 module gear. That looks right. Now you can do these calculations and not sure which one was right, so how do you make that choice? I'll show you the table here in a little bit. How about odd tooth count gears, especially ones with small tooth counts? Let's do the same drill again. We'll count them. We'll use the label method. I'll give you something to screen capture here so you can put it in your shop. And this ends up being a 21 tooth gear. All right. Now the OD on these gears is it's not hard, but there's not a tooth to go up against, to measure against. Right here, see? On the left you got the tooth, and on the right you got a gap. Dang. So you're gonna measure too short if you push it up against the gears. So let's do it a different way. Let's measure the ID, and that one's 1 inch for all practical purposes. And then let's measure from the ID across to a tooth tip. And sorry for the focus going on here, but when you grab a hold of that and measure 2 or 3, make sure you're getting it right. And I measure 0.459. It's a little blurry there, sorry, but that's ID to tooth tip. So the relationship is, this is just simple math, adding up the ID and 2 of the ID to tip measurements, and then you get the OD by calculation. So 1.918 is what the OD is of that gear. And then we just run right back over to our pitch and module equations, and let's see if it's a pitch gear first. Tooth count plus 2 over OD, there it is. And that matches very closely to a 12 pitch gear. All right, I think that's right. I'm not even going to check module. So how do I know it's right? You can calculate the numbers, but how do I really know? Well, let's go look at some tables of what these are. And in this one, you can just take a screenshot of, and it shows, the chart on the right shows from coarse to fine gears. It shows the relationship between pitch and module. In the table on the left, the cells that are highlighted in green are the common pitches or modules, and the ones in between are just a conversion between the two. So the 12 pitch gear was a match, and the 1.5 module gear is a match, and the other ones are out in these white cells in the middle of nowhere where nobody even makes cutters for those. So this is really a nice chart of, from some pretty fine gears to some pretty coarse gears, probably what you're going to encounter in your shop for machinery. And it helps you determine and have that perspective for whether it's a pitch or module gear. There you go. There's your answer. I sure hope this helps with your gear making in your shop, and appreciate you watching. Thanks.